on this computer. Okay, so we're here with our friends from plasmaenergysolution.com. I'm with Miss Lynn Schmaltz and her daughter Stephanie, and welcome to our next adventure here, talking about plasma water.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Sean. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. And as the last time we spoke, we always do our little talk about, what we're going to talk about on this session. And there's a lot of feedback that came in from our last conversation. And I know you've gotten some questions. I've definitely got questions from people on specific types of things, what plasma water you might recommend for certain types of conditions. And so we've got some stuff we wanted to talk about, but one of the things that I wanted to just kind of go into, and we don't have to get too far into it, is the variety of different types of plasma water energy or different types of plasma water that you provide. And there's about, I'd say on the website, there's probably at least 50 different types of plasma water. Is that correct?
At least
50. I'm being conservative there. So do you want to go into maybe talk about like the top maybe 10 or some of the more popular ones that you've got? So when people are going on to the page and looking at those, maybe give them some ideas of some of the things that you find that are the most popular. And then we can also talk about, some of the questions and get into some of the testimonials from, people that are using the plasma water.
Okay, well, the first one that we ever came out with, we called the Plasma Energy Station. And when Paul and I did that, there were well over 400 energies in it, and it included vitamins, minerals, herbs, homeopathics, foods, and things off the periodic table. And the really special thing about it is it does have the energies of gold and silver, which you are not going to find in a lot of situations where people are doing plasma energy combinations. Those, it's called gas in the atomic nanosolid state. And when you're making those, it can take up to 6 months to produce something. So that was our first one. And I'll just mention, Sean, because we're at the end of June, and starting in July, if people will go to plasmaenergysolution.com, I will have a special on that.
On the Plasma Energy Station.
Yes.
On the Plasma Energy Station. That's fantastic.
And you know what it is? You want to tell? Because we're going to do 7 of the turquoise pendants with the first orders.
Right.
That will just be included with the Energy Station order.
Yeah.
So when they get the Energy Station, they're getting a free pendant?
The first 7 people who order.
And these are the turquoise pendants that we just made.
God, I love those. And oh, by the way, people, I'm wearing mine. Mine's actually got, what does mine have in it, Lynn?
It's got, yours has lapis, amazonite, fluorite.
Looks like onyx, maybe.
Is that
oh, you know what? He might have
yeah,
you've got an elite shungite.
Elite shungite in there, and then rose quartz.
And
I love this thing.
For those who like to have honking big jewelry like Lynn.
We have a few large pendants.
Yeah, we have a few large pendants.
These are turquoise with the elite shungite, and then this is just the plain turquoise. But they turned out really nice.
That's really nice. And Steph, do you want to turn that around also, because you've got the magnet? So right there. Yep.
And the other thing that's really neat about these is Steph figured out how to make adjustable leather cords.
Yeah.
So you can wear them like a choker or longer. And that was really a nice upgrade.
Because some people like longer, I like shorter.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I watched her learn how to do that, and I went, better you than me.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
So that's what we'll start out with. And I'll also mention right at the get-go, when people use the code word that we gave you, Sean, and it's USA MedBeds, when they order from us and they put that in the coupon, they get 15% off of their order.
Right. And Lynn, you were super generous because you were running additional specials where if you bought like 3, you got a 4th one free. There was other specials you were also running simultaneously. And you also bundled the 15% on top of existing specials you were running, which was very gracious of you, very generous.
Well, thank you. You know, I do have my stingy side, but I try to put it away.
Well, it was good timing, but we had really good feedback from that last video. We had a lot of people that were very excited. A lot of people I know that had ordered product, and obviously, you know, I'm still getting a lot of questions even from people that are still looking on the website and sort of asking me, hey, you know, I'll get into that in a little bit, but and we can talk more specifically about, you know, maybe your recommendations for certain types of health conditions. But, you know, what would you say? Well, we obviously the energy station, right? That's our key thing right now, because that's going to be a big, you know, big thing that's going to launch in the next month, the 1st, which is only like just a few days away. But in addition to the energy station, what would you say are maybe some of the more popular plasma energy solution products?
I would say clean mouth, a lot of people get, and there's clear mind, but clear mind, you've got some choices because some people will look at memory, some people will look at
Healthy brain.
Alzheimer's relief, autism relief. So we've kind of branched out from the original clear mind into several more specific things that had additions to them. And right now, a lot of people are looking for mosquito relief. I tell a story about Tony with the piece and the mosquito.
Oh, my daughter is she attracts bees, and and she's just horrified of them because she's been stung several times. And, you know, it's like this, I keep telling her she's going to throw her back out, dive bombing away from these bees. But she likes to sit outside and get a little vitamin D. And so Grandma Lynn suggested that she use some of the piece with mosquito and spray that. And she can now sit outside in peace and the bugs aren't bothering her. And I use it too. And it really is notable. I had to cut the grass the other day and there were a ton of mosquitoes. So I sprayed off and I don't have one mosquito bite, which is lovely. It's amazing. And you don't have to spray all that chemical stuff all over. So, and you're peaceful.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is I tell people spray it around your doors and windows, and you know, like I just lightly mist like curtains and everything like that. And honestly, I don't have a fly swatter. I don't know where it went, but I haven't used it for several years. Once in a while we get a miller in the house, and that means the nocturnal cats are gonna have a heyday ripping through the house after the miller. But I'm saying a miller, and that's because the door might have been left open during the day. And then that's it. And I don't have flies in the house, I don't have mosquitoes in the house. So it really provides a little relief. And for people who have water features or swimming pools or even wading pools for the kids or the dogs or whatever, I'd recommend putting some of that in the water. You can just take a plastic drinking bottle and fill it with that and hang it in a hot tub or a swimming pool and let those energy fields disperse throughout the water, and it will keep the bugs that you associated with bodies of water out in the yard. It'll minimize that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So now this time of year, people are looking into some of the we have indoor, outdoor plant formula. Well, we're also coming out in the next couple of weeks. It's been in progress for several months.
A while, yeah.
And we have a series of organic, fine nutrient garden things to address different issues in the garden that will be an array of GANs that we have for the garden.
And with the fertilizer shortages and whatnot that we're experiencing right now, these will be very helpful, and it eliminates the worry of all of those types of things, because we've got the energies of the microbes and all of those things in these plasma energy formulas.
That's super exciting.
Yeah, worm castings, things like that. So that'll come out in a couple of weeks. The other thing that's coming out, and these have been kind of important products, and that's been shedding relief, the soul support, the protection 5 with Pine Plus.
New tech frequency relief, that's a big one that a lot of people use.
Which one is that stuff?
The new tech frequency relief, and that is, it really helps alleviate the EMF effects.
Okay.
As Lynn says, the electronic soup that we live in, you know, a lot of people don't react favorably to that at all. And it alleviates the effects of that.
And I have pictures people have sent me when they combine that with their plant, because the plants really like it, because they're in the same soup we're in.
Yeah.
They really thrive when you use that. So another thing that's coming out in the next few weeks is something I call poison KK relief. And there was information that came out about that injection, that there may be some venoms as part of it, and that is what that formula is addressing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, some particular things there. So
one more that I want to talk about is glutathione. That was one that we put together, was it December maybe? And glutathione is it's really helps with rebuilding, helping you heal after you've been sick. Say you've, you know, contracted said sickness or whatever. It helps in recovery after physical activity. It's been a pretty popular one, and it also helps a lot with inflammation and that type of situation. So the glutathione is one that I really like.
Okay, so on the website it would be listed as the glutathione. Okay.
And then for those people experiencing inflammation, we have one that's inflammation relief that is based on the CBD. And we also have arthritis relief, we have pain relief. And so there's different combinations for different things. And we also have healthy joints and skin. So we've tried to take it from different, you know, what kind of, is it muscle swelling? Is it more related to bone, that type of thing? And I will mention for people that have replacement joints, we don't recommend putting plasma energy patches on those. It's okay to drink the water, but you don't want to mix the plasma energy with the metal. And the big reason for that is we don't want to stimulate bone growth where it's been removed, and the titanium joints or whatever have been.
Yeah, that's a really good point to make.
Yeah.
I know, you know, I get a lot of people that contact me with swelling, inflammation, a lot of those different things. So with the metal and with the pieces in the body, what about obviously not putting it on those, but maybe putting it a few inches away? Is that, or is it better to just drink it and just skip all that?
I think it's better just to drink it and skip it all together. And before I forget, another one that is for people would be the eye formula. And Dr. Paul did that when he had cataracts. Now, he was a veterinarian for many years, and he did cataract surgery. So he knew when he started getting them that what the treatment was. And it's common that people who have diabetes, he had type 1 diabetes diagnosed when he was 44, and the issues that go along with that you can have some eye issues. Well, he decided he was going to put together the eye formula, and what you basically do, if this was a small spice jar, I would have about two-thirds of the eye formula. Oh yeah. Thank you,
Way to
Steph.
go, Stephanie.
2/3 of the eye formula, and then 1/3 of olive oil, or a good quality oil. It could be avocado, jojoba, coconut oil, fractionated. Olive oils you have to watch because some of them have a pepper note. And so when people say, oh, those drops sting my eyes, I'll say, check your olive oil, because I think you got something special with it. But he used those drops 2 or 3 times a day consistently for a year. And he came in one day with something with tiny print, not even this. It was tiny. It was like off a little brochure, probably the stuff they didn't want you to read, you know. And he started reading it, and I looked at him. I said, you're not wearing glasses. He was reading it just without his glasses.
Wow.
And he was able to renew his driver's license when he was 79. No glasses, no surgery, no contact lens.
Wow.
Oh, and he had to be consistent, because for 4 months he did not see much of a change, and then it started happening, and it just got better and better and better. But for people who want a magic pill, they need to realize they've got to work with intention with the plasma energy. It's a living water that carries memory and intention,
Right.
and they've just got to be consistent.
Yeah.
And it'll do its thing.
Right,
So,
exactly. And Stephanie, you brought that up before we started, intention. And there's a gentleman named Dan Winter, who is just an absolutely brilliant guy. He's got a phenomenal YouTube channel, and he's a physicist, and he really talks about what we were just talking about memory, water being able to hold memory, but also like your body, you're actually creating a plasma energy vortex with intention. So you really are, it's more than just talking about it. It really is physically there and really altering it. And even with, so Dan also does a lot with plasma energy, but the plasma energy, anytime you're dealing with that, the intention must be set, must be focused on to get, you know, the best possible outcome for the time and the effort that you're putting into it.
Correct. And when we do our formulas, and of course, every formula that Lynn and Paul did, they set a specific intention with that. So from the get-go, it's been put together with intention. And I have, just as an aside, I've been a massage therapist for 30 years, and I've seen firsthand what intention does and how it works, and nothing happens without intention, and without realizing that it's a conduit for something greater to come through. So you've got to use intention, and you've got to trust it and believe in it, because it carries a lot of weight.
Right. And well, Stephanie, let me ask you, so intention, you know, for me also, the more you get used to using it, the better you get at really focusing and concentrating your mind on it. And so obviously, if you're using a lot for massage therapy, would you agree with that, that as you become more in depth with knowing how powerful it is, that you actually get better at really focusing that energy and that intention into what you're doing?
Yes, and it becomes second nature, really, and it just starts to flow, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I would say probably the first 10 or 12 years, I really had to think about it, and you know, and then after a while, it just flows, and it just becomes part of what you do. And it's really a beautiful process, and so it can carry over into every aspect of life, really. You know, you pull your water out of your station every morning and drink it with intention, and I really believe that it gives it a better effect.
Yeah. And I think me and your mom, we talked about that, Mom. Lynn, I'm sorry, but it's kind of a family thing here now, you know,
Right.
but you brought that up with Misamoto, right? With the book, you had the book, and we were showing how the intention could actually, you know, transform the water into a snowflake effect and really get into some sacred geometry, and that the exact opposite could happen with not the right intention being focused on it as well.
Exactly. And, you know, in speaking about intention, one of the intentions I have, and I've placed plasma energy, little Carmex sized jars that I put some of the station water in. And this was high tech, you guys. I took a tablespoon out of the drawer, and I took my little jars, and about every 15 or 20 feet, I dug a little hole, put the jar in, put some rocks and dirt over it, and put it around as an energy field around the house. And I did this a couple years ago. Well, then I also had taken a large sprayer like you would spray in a yard, and I sprayed the building, and, you know, and kind of the plants near the building and everything. And I just did it that one time. Well, I want to mention that I have the intention always that I am surrounded with the plasma energy like a dome effect. We had some very serious major flooding 2 weeks ago here in our town, and the creek is 2 blocks away. It was no longer a creek. It was a raging torrent.
Yeah.
and it 2 blocks away. So what ended up happening is everybody's basements got flooded.
Yeah. The creek jumped its banks
Yeah.
and went back to its original course. So don't try to change the flow of water is a lesson in all of this.
It had
Anyway.
the intention to go elsewhere.
Right.
But what ended up happening is we are next door to a little log building that's a 1-story building that is for the cable, cell phone, TV people. And they have a storage yard in back. And that yard is level with the driveway that goes to some apartments in back behind me. And it was level. It was actually level with the sidewalk, but a little below level of the street. So the guys were unloading everything out of their little building because they knew they were going to get flooded. The man who lives at the back apartment behind me was out of town. He does still disaster relief. And here we were, but he called some friends and said, go to my place. It's going to flood. The neighbor behind us is flooded. His basement's flooded. There's a pathway between the houses. I'm going to get flooded. Well, we did not get flooded, and the office next door did not get flooded. The water took out half of the street all the way down the block, but no water came into our basements or that back apartment or into the TV cable office. And as I look at it, my workroom faces their vacant lot, and there's hundreds of jars of plasma energy. And so, you know, I choose to think that we had that protective energy field. I was not a popular family member because I didn't evacuate.
No, she didn't.
Some of the family probably had something to say about that. I think we talked about that earlier, but
Yeah.
bottom line is mom wasn't leaving.
No, she wasn't leaving. So she, and you know, kudos to Lynn. She had faith in her situation here and faith in the plasma energy. And I was here, I watched it, and I was blown away that this place didn't flood, because that's what we were ready for.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think everybody saw the news, and everybody saw, you know, what happened in that area. And that was like, it wasn't, you know, that was like a 1,000-year flood. That wasn't like even a 100-year flood. That was
Right.
It was devastating. It was.
And there was a nice follow-up to that, because I can tell the story and everybody can go, oh yes, Lynn. But one of my favorite delivery drivers showed up, and he has some of the plasma energy, and I knew he lived out of town. And I just said, did you do okay through the flooding? He says, oh yeah, my house down the street did fine. Well, I didn't know he had a house down the street, but he has a rental house. And he had given the people who live there some of his plasma water that I had given to him, and they had no flooding.
Wow.
Right.
Everybody
right
around them
yeah.
had flooding. And I just went, well, that makes my day, because I didn't make that story up. That was his telling me of what happened.
And you can bet that I went home and got my peace bottle and sprayed all around my house. Just to be sure. I mean,
Well,
I have a lot of it too, but I was making sure.
yeah, that's awesome. Well, there's a very high-tech process that we'll talk about later about how you can go dig little holes out in the backyard and put your jars, and we'll get into that later. But you know, Lynn, that also ties into another story that was with somebody down in, was it Dominican, that had plasma water when a big storm or hurricane came through?
Right. And this happened several years ago with Hurricane Maria. And a man had made plasma water who had studied the same process we did. He lived in Mexico and took it to his parents over in Dominica. Well, when that hurricane happened, all communication was cut off, and he didn't get there for 3 weeks. And 90% of the island was destroyed. And what happened, he had placed a jar, probably kind of the size of maybe your drinking container that you carry with you, in the center of their garden, just as to enhance what was going on in the garden. When he got there, there was a 30-foot radius around the property that was completely untouched. There were flowers on the plants, there were leaves on the plants, nothing happened to the house. You got outside that perimeter and everything was stripped bare, and the tool sheds were gone.
Wow.
So it was really impressive to see that. And again, when Paul and I talked about it, he said, well, it'll set up a dome effect. So it's going to be almost like you're sitting in the center of a ball. It goes above, around, and below. And so your energy field doesn't just, go out in a little rectangle or something like that.
And you can also help set that again with intention.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's good that ties back in all over again. So, so Lynn, you have a newsletter. I would encourage anybody, as with the first video, all the information for your website, all this will be down in the description area. But you have a website that you can sign up to get your newsletter, which I do get. And I'm really blown away by the number of testimonials, obviously, from people that are using the product, and such a wide variety of different things that the plasma water is addressing and helping people with. I mean, when I read through those, it kind of opens my eyes to things that I might not have even considered previously, but I'm seeing all these effects of benefit that the plasma water is providing. And I know we talked about maybe sharing some of those, but I think what I'm going to do is assemble some of those testimonials, put them on a web page, or if you have a web page, I'm going to link to that so people can kind of read through those, because you're really addressing a lot of things. And as we talked about when we started, there's 50 plus, I would say probably 60 or maybe even more different types of plasma energy water that you've got in the SKU that really address a multitude of different health and wellness. And even with me, excuse me, Superman, I'm looking just for more energy, for more vitality, and I am, like I said last time, I'm doing better actually. I got a good workout in about an hour before we had this call today, but I really do feel a lot more energy. And I think now it's been probably about maybe 4 weeks that I've had it from the first time. So I can really see how I'm getting up earlier. I've got more energy. I'm even more enthusiastic, I find, to get stuff done. I don't have that kind of lethargic feeling as much as I did, maybe a month or two back. So, and I do have the clear mouth, which, you told me that I gargle with that and drink that. And clear mind, which you know, that's always, for me, that's an ongoing process, but those are all wonderful, you know, all wonderful products that are on there. So, you know, I've been getting a lot of emails, a lot of comments from people, and I'm glad you touched on the eyes, because I've got at least 2 or 3 people that had asked, you know, for various different types of conditions with the eyes. So you talked about Dr. Paul, who had put some of the plasma energy water in with, did you say olive oil?
Mm-hmm. And the reason for putting oil is when you put watery drops in your eyes and then you blink, a lot of it just runs out on your face right away. But the oil will kind of slide down the eye into the lower lid, and then when you blink, it'll go back up. And so it's kind of like windshield wipers. You'll get a little more of an effect, a longer effect from it. And I use the drops. Now, I will give the disclaimer. I've had a lazy eye since I was a child, and it hasn't made a bit of difference with that. But what it has made a difference with is big floaters that I had. And especially people that are using only one eye predominantly have a tendency to get floaters in what I call their good eye. And so in the past, my floaters had fins and tails, and they'd swim across, but now there's just an occasional dot. So it really did help that. People do ask me about different eye conditions, and I don't have personal experience. So again, I just say, you know, if you think you want to try it, why not?
And that's a specific eye formula,
right?
That we it's not just the station water; it's the specific eye formula mixed with the oil.
Okay, right. So there is a plasma energy water on the website that just for addressing eye.
Yeah.
Things related to the eye.
Yes.
And one quick thing that I'll mention, since we started out with the plasma energy station, I wrote a blog for the 1st of July on what's happening with a lot of our food supply in this country, and a lot of the places where they're putting together food packaging and things. It's astounding what's going on, and I don't think people realize that. The feedback we've had is that a lot of people find that they don't need as much as they did before when they're drinking the plasma energy station water. Mm-hmm. And so that's, you know, while that's just commentary right now, if it ever became necessary, I know people can maintain. Dr. Paul and I did a 10-day fast, and we decided we were going to use water only. And we ended up having 3 dish meals during that 10 days because of social things that were going on. But we were not hungry. We were not cranky. We were not dizzy. We kept up our regular routine. And the only thing that was missing was our social conditioning over food. Mm-hmm. And that's, you know, preparing it, smelling it, chewing it, that type of thing. So what we did is, hand me your glass, we finally decided to put a routine with it. So we'd sit down for breakfast and we'd bless it and then cheers. What are you having for breakfast, Paul? I'm having huevos rancheros. And I say, well, I think I'll have eggs Benedict. Intention.
That's right.
So it was putting a routine to it.
Right.
So it wasn't just like, oh, well, I guess I'll drink some more water because I'm not having food today.
That's funny. Well, you know, that's the thing too, is that we just don't realize how programmed we are, you know, with all that other part of it. So, you know, when you're missing out on all those different things, the water itself, you know, it provides so much energy that you don't necessarily need it from the food, but it's still that social interaction and that, you know, whole part of our culture that really ingrains that into our lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So.
And we have one cat who has had a lot of anxiety. She would run and hide and hiss on her way whenever somebody came. And I finally they have various vials in their drinking bowls, and I put anxiety relief in. Well, it didn't affect the cat, who's an imp. She's still an imp, but it really toned things down for the one who had a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, she was a mess, and she's very sweet. She's very welcoming and social. It's interesting.
It's very interesting.
Mhm.
So one other thing that I get a lot of questions about, and I know we talked about obviously not putting patches or anything on implants, but with people that have a lot of inflammation, joint pain, soreness, back pain, those types of things, what would your recommendation be as far as any plasma water items that you've got on the SKU and the website? What might be your recommendation for those types of people?
You know, I would look at the inflammation relief. And when we did that, it was a touchy time to come out public and say CBD. So I think it's listed as ancient sacred plant for inflammation. And then magnesium will help some situations that's going to be more for the swelling of the
Swelling, cramping, and glutathione also, again, is a really good one for the inflammation relief, the rebuilding, regenerating, tissue that's not healthy. That's what I would recommend.
And then you've also got the healthy joints and skin.
Okay.
And you have arthritis relief. So I think as people look through that and see what resonates with them and their particular situation. And a lot of times I'll make spray bottles of things. So, if you're dealing with a sore, just use any one of those and I'll fake it.
That's clean mouth.
Yeah, this is clean mouth. So actually, if you're sitting there getting dry mouth, you can just spray some in your mouth. But if say you've got a sore place and you've got the right water, you can just spray it on your clothes. Let them be the covering.
Right.
And we also say that you can put the plasma water in your laundry, and I put it in the liquid laundry soap, but then you can add it to the rinse cycle. And once you do that with sheets and towels and clothing, it's there. And I have a lot of people have issues with their hands. And I have, I should be ashamed to show these, but I'm actually not. If I type a lot, my hands will get a little fatigued. So I've cut the fingers out. And because these have been laundered with other things, they've picked up a lot of nice colors to turn them gray and little threads to stick to them. But you can even wear these at night. And then for somebody that we know had carpal tunnels, and her hand still hurt after a month. And so what we showed her was take a magnet, one of our magnets, put it in here in the hand area, and just sleep with the glove on. And when I saw her the next day, she works at the post office, and
you told me the story last time. That was a great story.
Yeah, and she just said, I've been carrying packages all morning and my hand doesn't hurt. So you can do that. I mean, if you had sore feet, you could do the same thing with socks. So it's just be as innovative as you like with it. There's no hard and fast rules that say, well, if you don't do it this exact way, it's not going to work. That's not true. So
that's awesome. That's great, because that's one thing about it. It's just so easy to use and so easy to apply. I mean, technically we're all drinking it, but just spraying it on your clothing or on those areas of the body and getting that energy in there is just such an easy, simple way to apply it.
Exactly. And I tell people with their drinking, when they're setting up their drinking water, especially if they've got the plasma energy station, set up your individual containers first in case you want to specifically share, say, clean mouth or anxiety or something like that with someone. But then you can put it all on one station and drink it. And I suggest getting something big enough. You're going to use filter or distilled water, but you want something big enough with a spigot. use it more. You're going to use it more consistently if you do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we've had a good show today. I mean, it's been a lot of good feedback. I'm glad that we, Stephanie, we caught up with you just towards the end of the last one. So I'm glad you were able to kind of sit through. Before we sign off, is there anything that, Lynn, that you'd like to finish with? And then I'll ask Stephanie if there's anything else you want to throw in before we sign off on this last video.
You know, I'm just going to tell people, go to our website. We've got lots of frequently asked questions with the answers, lots of testimonials, blogs and blogs and blogs and blogs. There's also some free reports. You have to put in your email address that's the key that opens the door to the free report. And then there are lots of videos. Most of my videos, there's about 4 dozen over on YouTube. And after I got a couple hand slappings, I moved doing my videos over onto Brighteon. And I probably have, I think we have over 150 videos there now. Yeah. And
once again, I'll put that USA MedBed up there with the link to your website, like I did last time, because when people use that code at their checkout, they're getting a 15% discount, which, you know, the products themselves are very, very moderately priced. They're not, you know, they're very, you know, inexpensive for the most part. I mean, nothing on there is real expensive. And, you know, for the amount of value that you get for, you know, what it is that you're spending, and the fact that it's going to last you for the rest of your life is basically probably the easiest way of saying that. That is an incredible value. So I'll make sure I have those links and all that information for people. So once they go from the video down there, they can get right in and save some money. So Stephanie, anything there you want to add?
What I just want to add is just how much I love wearing the pendants. For me, because I have spent so much time one-on-one working on people over the years, I can testify to the protection that it provides. You know, I worked on a lot of people who had the virus, had taken injections, whatever, and I was never worried about it because this provides a great dome of protection. Just, I mean, it's right on your person all the time, and I never take mine off. And it helps me with sleep. It just helps keep me focused. And I noticed a big difference when I started wearing the pendants, and so I just never take them off. And it's a really easy way to just always know that you have your plasma energy protection.
Yeah, that's good. Well, you know, it's funny, Lynn, is that we brought that up at the very end of the last video. I'm like, oh yeah, we got to talk about the pendants. And you know, same thing again. I mean, we kind of started off with these, but maybe on the next video that we do, we'll go into more detail, more depth on those. But that is a phenomenal product also. I absolutely love mine. Stephanie, I'm with you. I never take this thing off. It goes with me everywhere. And, you know, and you have a few different versions with different types of stones, depending on, you know, the individual and the person. But for anybody, you know, that's watching this, you'll also find those. I think they're down towards the bottom of the page on the shopping cart page where the products are at. But for anybody that's interested in those, you can also find those on that same link that I'll put down at the bottom. So yeah, thanks for adding that.
Yeah, it'll be under shungite, and that's why it's way down on the list.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's exciting. I mean, it's exciting to hear, number one, that you've got so many products that are getting ready to come out. So there's obviously a lot of stuff that you're doing that's going to start coming out here in July in the next few months. And I'm just going to throw it out there for anybody watching this video that you can email me, you can email Lynn with any questions. And for upcoming videos that we do, you know, we can get more interaction. And eventually we'll probably do some live streaming where we can take questions and stuff, you know, live, you know, from viewers and that as we go. But it's a super exciting product. Lynn, I'm always excited to talk to you because, you know, I'm like a little kid in a candy store. And now that I've got all this technology, I'm actually going to be going on and doing more shopping too, by the way. I've got more stuff I'm going to purchase. and I'm going to get some stuff for my mom and friends and family and that as well. So, you know, as I see and meet more people, and especially now these people that have contacted me from our last video with the information about their eyes, that is a huge, huge benefit. And thank you for kind of giving that information about how to mix the plasma energy water with the olive oil, and just that process for being able to integrate that into a sort of a daily routine as part of their daily lifestyle. So that, I know we're going to definitely, you know, make a lot of people happy, because I told them that I'm coming on to talk to you and I would ask you that personally. So thank you for that feedback. And with that being said, for everybody out there, like we've said, go down to the bottom. You're going to see all the links to Lynn's website. I'm going to put links to the testimonials and more information. And Lynn, we will get together with you and Stephanie soon and talk some more and go into some more information about the plasma energy water.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sean.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. It's a pleasure to get together and interact with you.
It's a lot of fun, and I always have a great time, and I'll look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thank you.
Take
All
care.
right. Take care. Thank you.